And here we go now with part 2 of issue 1 of Absolute Superman. And like always, welcome back to the dissection table. Here we take the latest video games, trailers, comics, movies, and more, break them down bit by bit. And like always, if you missed part 1, my coverage of part 1, whenever it comes to issue 1, you'll find it right before this video right here on the TikTok link of the Asylum. And don't forget to check out the description down below, where you'll find links that'll lead you over to the Kick and Twitch wings of the Asylum, along with YouTube, where we have dedicated playlists of all the issues I've covered whenever it comes to comics, both on the Marvel and the DC comic book side, including all the issues on Absolute Batman. But now, without further ado, brief recap right where we last left off. Whenever we transitioned from what we saw like the abhorrent horrors happening back on Krypton way back in the day. Because like they do, the Kryptonians, they were over-harvesting not only their sun, but even their very planet, and things were kind of going to shit. We transitioned right over here to Brazil in the modern day, in the present, right over here on good old-fashioned Earth in the Absolute Universe. So things, of course, are going to be a little on the bleak side. How bleak can bleak get in the Absolute Universe whenever it comes to DC comic books? Oh, not that bad. It's just being exposed to just a little bit of asbestos whenever these poor souls have no choice but to go into work this job at this diamond mine. Yeah, like I said back in the coverage of issue 1, asbestos, hopefully I'm not butchering the intonation there, it's a carcinogenic that can lead to cancerous growths and whatnot, just outright cancer. And once upon a time, we had this pretty much almost everywhere and anywhere here in the United States back in the 60s or 70s. Ain't that great? Thankfully for those very same poor, unfortunate souls who have no choice but to actually work this job to not only feed for themselves, but also feed their families and protect themselves and their families, when they get down here by the Lazarus Corp, because Lazarus Corp is forcing them to do this job, because who wants to do this dangerous job anyway? When they get down here, they find a lot of diamonds that have already conveniently been crushed and harvested. Now, these miners are kind of like, they're basically perceived this as nothing less than a miracle, which it is for them, so they're like, okay, we don't know what caused this. We're not going to talk about it. We're just going to do our jobs, okay? We got down here to get diamonds. We got diamonds. Let's go. But when they make their way up to the surface, the Peacemaker Corps, and yeah, it's not just one Peacemaker. It's multiple. A whole entire division of the Lazarus Corporation. They look at this and they're like, huh? They're really confused and kind of a little scared because this isn't a one-time little incident. They actually are right here talking, and yeah, basically it's revealed that this, like I said, it isn't a one-time incident. This has happened at multiple different whole entire mining operations, and it's something that has negatively affected the Lazarus Corporation, or kind of not really. They're just kind of suspicious because, again, these incidences haven't been exactly destructive. Sometimes there's been some destruction, but otherwise it's just been really just like miraculous events. But as you probably suspected, this miracle kind of took the form of a human. I mean, it looks human on the surface anyway, but it's not exactly from our planet. Yeah, you probably guessed who already did this. One of those very same miners whose name I'm not going to even try to pronounce. We're just going to call him Mayo. Hopefully, I know I'm butchering the enunciation. I apologize. But he ends up encountering that miracle worker right here in the flesh. And yes, it's Absolute Superman in disguise the day beforehand. I'm not gonna lie, Buddy's being all kinds of kind to Superman. He's like, hey man, look, it's gonna be a blizzard tonight, but don't worry, we got a barbecue happening over here, and everybody's invited. It's gonna be great. Why, you wanna come on over, warm those cold bones? But Superman, kind of depressed. He's like, I've seen the wonders of your world. But Superman goes on to explain, like, I've seen the wonders of your world, but I've also seen a lot of places like this mine, places of suffering. How do you know which one is right? This is a deep question for Kal-El because he's still reeling from the fact that he's still the last Kryptonian standing. Basically, Superman, he still remembers the fact that his mother and his father, they were going through very similar suffering and pain and toilage whenever it came to them basically being at the bottom of the barrel whenever it came to the hierarchy back on Krypton. So he's seeing something very similar here. And he's explaining to him, like, why don't you, basically what he really wants to say is, why don't you fight back? Why aren't you doing something? Why are you going through all this suffering? How do you know it's right? And our buddy right here was being kind to him. He answers back with the, stereotypical thing, but it's true. You know, it's right, the suffering, all the pain and everything that they go through, the dangers at this mine and everything. When you've had something to fight that's right, essentially. And for him and for all the other miners, it's for themselves, just to keep themselves alive. But more than them, it's also for their families. But now we cut back to the present, and even though they do what they do is right, again, for themselves, for their families and everything, right sure doesn't feel all that great. Because the Peacemaker Corps, yeah, these Peacemakers, they aren't exactly friendly, and they aren't stupid. They know something's up, and they want answers. Those diamonds did not crush themselves. And the Peacemaker Corps, they're kind of putting boot-to-throat type of action right here. They're gonna get answers one way or another, even out of our very kind soul right here that was kind to Superman. But then they basically perform a head count, and basically what they discover, everybody checked in to work at the mine, just like our friend right here, except for one person, and that one person is recharging his suit. Now, despite appearances, Superman's suit, this is actually a weapon. It is both sword and shield all wrapped up into one, and I can't emphasize this enough. While the suit itself, whenever it comes to the Absolute Universe, is absolutely just fire. I love this design for Superman. Again, this is a weapon. Both the suit itself and even the cape, especially the cape. And as we see right here, like I said, he's actually charging the suit because Absolute Superman, he's not like mainline stream, DC comic book Superman. Yes, he can actually still needs to absorb and channel and process solar radiation from our sun and everything, but unfortunately when it comes to him here in the Absolute Universe, he either isn't as adept or his skills in order to refine and channel that solar radiation to charge his suit isn't something he hasn't perfected just yet. Not that the Lazarus Corporation really gives a bit of a damn, considering that they find out exactly that one person who didn't check in, and that is their number one suspect of who was responsible or possibly knows who's responsible for crushing those diamonds. So they decide to roll in and kick down Superman's front door at this whole entire, like, basically makeshift little village with all these, you know, pieces of sheet metal and everything. Yeah, they kicked down Superman's front door, and his suit, his onboard AI codenamed Saul, actually warns him, hey yo, it's superhero time. Finally some action, and Superman, even when this little bit of a weakened state, yeah, the Peacemaker Corps, they didn't exactly have much of a chance. How many empty magazines do you have to have in order to realize that firepower isn't exactly gonna work here? In the Peacemaker's defense, ever so slightly, Saul does actually inform Superman during this whole entire, you know, skirmish and everything. He does inform him that the technology incorporated into the Peacemaker's weaponry and their suits and everything, it is not native to Earth. This is alien tech that they're using. But in light of that, Superman doesn't really feel anything, and he pulls off basically a flash maneuver right here and saves as many people as he can. He knocks out the Peacemaker Corps. He did ask Saul, you know, if I punch them, will they live? And he's like, yes. But still, after all this is done and said, he's drained a little bit of too much energy, which results in him being a little susceptible to a little pain, a little electroshock therapy. Now, this ain't good, because the Lazarus Corporation isn't pulling any punches now. The Peacemaker Corp just got their butts handed to them, so the Lazarus Corporation is sending in the Phenomena Unit. Basically, this, like, the name is pretty self-explanatory. This Phenomena group is specializing in bizarre phenomena events, such as, you know, Superman. The Phenomena group from the Lazarus Corporation, they're doing good. They got a good assessment going on right here. They even fully identified that his suit is actually some type of living technology. They even confirmed that Superman is even talking to it, but unfortunately, right before they pull up, Absolute Superman unleashes the equivalent of his super flare, which if you're unfamiliar, is a very, very, very condensed, kaboom, very powerful one that's all but absent a mushroom cloud. Thankfully, everybody lives. He managed to actually contain this explosion because, again, he's having difficulty controlling his outright powers. But the Peacemakers, all the innocent people, everybody lives, including himself. But Lazarus Corporation, like I said, they are pulling punches. They are sending in a small army after this guy. And Saul's trying to lecture him at the worst possible time, basically telling him, look, I know you want to be Superman, even though you don't call yourself Superman. You want to save the world, but some worlds you just can't save. So he's like, okay, maybe you're right. But before he can take off, Agent Lane, aka Lois Lane of the Lazarus Corporation's Phenomenon Unit, decides to do the dumbest thing I think you could think of and slaps a pair of handcuffs on Superman. That's not gonna hold. But still, he is in a weakened state. But still, this is absolute Superman. This is kind of dumb. Oh, and as for that alien technology that the Peacemaker Corps are using, and the fact that that the Lazarus Corporation has technology to contain Superman at all, well, I'd give you two guesses of just exactly who Buddy is and where that technology came from, but if you pay close attention here, you're probably only going to need one guess. That'll do it for the breakdown this time on issue 1 of Absolute Superman. If you enjoyed, please make sure to give me a follow, like, and a comment right over here, and definitely make sure you hit that follow so I can continue to keep you informed on all things video game, trailers, comics, movies, and more, and please don't forget to check out the description and check in as a patient at the other wings of the asylum, including YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. But again, I hope you enjoyed and hope to see y'all in the next one.